Recently, I spent time with the Iowa State football player development department, and I led a Beyond Player Development model workshop for the staff. Now, the Beyond Player Development model, you can find more about that model. This is a model that encapsulates everything that I've been able to do in player development. I'm able to go out and clearly communicate with other player development departments how they can use the Beyond model. Now, Beyond is an acronym for belonging, education, your purpose, opportunities, navigation, and development systems. So I was able to sit down with the Iowa State football staff and do that. Shout out to Leon Douglas, who's Director of Player Development there. You'll hear from him in testimonial a little later in this episode, in this podcast. Shout out to Alec Cook, who's the assistant there, former player at Iowa State. And shout out to Coach Rogers. Coach Rogers got a chance to meet Coach Rogers. He came by, and it was great to talk to him about, not only Beyond the Field player development and what Beyond the Field is doing overall for collegiate coaches, youth coaches, and professional organizations as well. All right, before I get into what it looked like and before you hear testimonials, I want to give some observations of my time there. The first observation, shout out to Coach Leon Douglas. Leon Douglas, this is his third player development stop. He did player development at Arkansas State, KU, and now he's doing it at Iowa State. And he was a high school football coach here in the Kansas City area. I'm in the Kansas City area, and he was a head football coach and administrator, and he had been doing it. In our conversations, we got to know each other over the last year. I actually saw him randomly. First time I met him was in the Whole Foods. I was looking for some of that good juice, and so that good juice, that good drink, as we say in Houston. And he introduced himself, and we got to chop it up. But one thing that we talked about when we talk about player development is he was already doing it at the high school level. And there's a lot of high school coaches. You all are already doing player development. You all care about the entirety or the growth, the overall growth of your athlete, right? And for you high school coaches listening to this, I want to come alongside you and bring the Beyond Player Development model framework to help give communication clarity and consistency to the player development you're doing with your teams. But yeah, as I said, Coach Douglas, Leon Douglas, had already been doing a lot of this stuff. He was an administrator, he was a principal, so he knows about the development of athletes. And so it was great to have that background, and our conversations leading up to me coming to Iowa State were great. They have an assistant. I did a LinkedIn newsletter recently about, hey, if you don't have an assistant, most time you won't get one. I didn't have one in the role, how you can find 10 other people that can help you. Matter of fact, that podcast is right here. You can check that out. But they actually had a assistant or an assistant. My English teacher, that's for you. Alec Cook, he was a former player there, and he was really, really excited about being there. He's been through a couple leaders there. I think this is his third player development, director of player development he's been with, and he's super excited about it. He had a passion. He was learning. He was just locked in. He has a passion for players and a passion for this space, and so that was pretty awesome. Another thing I noticed was there was a great integration between player development and student athlete development at Iowa State. They have this building you kind of could see. There's glass. Let's say this is glass here. There's the atrium underneath, and they could see each other. They work together. It was great to go over there and meet the student athlete development department with Iowa State. And there's some great integration with football. You can see that they'll be working together or have worked together, will continue to work together. And so that's awesome as well. And as I mentioned earlier, I got a chance to meet Coach Jimmy Rogers. He came in, and he thankful that he allowed Coach Douglas to bring me in, right, to go through this workshop. And he stopped by and chopped it up with me for a little bit and asked what we were doing, how the workshop was going, and was really there, supportive, gave me opportunity to really dive in and feel at home in another program. And shout out to my guys, strength coaches, couple strength coaches I work with at the University of Houston, Coach Campbell, Coach Farnyard. Good to see y'all. Good to see you, Farn and Coach Campbell. Good to see y'all. It was great seeing y'all there as well. So it was great. I'm in Kansas City, so Iowa State's about a 3.5 hour drive. I don't mind driving for this. So if you're a program within that radius, would love to come drive and visit you. But those are things I observe, and there's a commitment, and there has been a commitment for player development from Iowa State and Iowa State football. One person I know closely, we were actually texting earlier today, Justice Jones. He was at Iowa State. He's currently director of player engagement with the New York Jets. And so Iowa State does a really good job when they recruit athletes, bringing them there and developing the athletes holistically. And it's continuing to happen under Coach Rogers and Leon Douglas. All right, so let me tell you about the workshop and what we did and how it went about. I came to a workshop. It was a true player development workshop. We got there, ate breakfast, and got straight into it. And so I came with these manuals here, and we walked through a lot of things in the manuals. As you can see here, there's a lot of different, let me make sure you can see, a lot of different things we covered, and we broke down every single level of Beyond. Once again, Beyond, we broke down belonging. There was an exercise and application. We broke down education. There was an exercise and application. We broke down your purpose. There was an exercise and application. We broke down opportunities. There was an exercise and application. Navigation. We broke it down. There's exercise and application in development systems. We broke it down. There's exercise and application. There was also reflection inside of this as well. And so they have this as a workbook. So we worked through Beyond and what does that look like for your program? Now, I want to say this. I do have experiences of being a director of player development at the University of Houston, University of Kansas, and Baylor University. And for the last 6 years, I've been building out player development. I've been building out beyond the field player development. I have a book, as you can see right here. You can get it on Amazon. Working on my 4th book right now. And so I've been able to consult with people and be there for programs. But my big rule when we start is I want to help people with where they are. I can give you what I did, but does it matter for your program? And so when we went through this manual, right here, and we went through the Beyond player development model, it was ensured. I made sure even Coach Douglas and Alec, they both had their own, and they were writing, what does belonging mean to you? We ask questions, we reflect, but they have a manual where they can look at it, they can keep it, they can go back and look at it. If we want to do more, we can have some other frameworks inside of these frameworks, but this is a great start, a foundation for them to have there. Matter of fact, I can keep telling you what they had and what they did, but I'm gonna let you tell them for yourselves. Right now, we're gonna hear a testimonial from the Director of Player Development at Iowa State, Leon Douglas.
Leon Douglas, Director of Player Development for Iowa State University football. The Beyond the Field framework by Ed Jones II is an awesome player development resource that just continues to move what can be done and what can be achieved in this space. I think oftentimes, programming has the opportunity to get stale. Much like teaching, it's very easy to rinse and repeat what you've done year after year. But this new framework allows a player development professional to come up with new ideas to build on a lot of the practices that Ed has found to be tried and true to make an impact with young people. In regards to key takeaways, I think, initially starting from the beginning with the B, with belonging, creating a sense of belongingness. That's, I think, something that's often taken for granted in this space, considering that the student athlete has been recruited, he made a decision to come here, and that once he has signed and committed to be here, that everything is all good, right? And that's definitely not the case, and that the process of having that sense of belonging is having the awareness to recognize that that's important to you, and to have a staff on the other side have mindfulness to keep that in mind, to build structures and cultures that take into account the individual aspect of the student athlete experience. I think is big. I think the belongingness goes beyond just a student athlete seeing themselves on the walls in the facility, but more importantly, is the practices, is the culture, is how a student athlete feels congruent to what they want to feel, to what they need from an environment, and that things are directly put in place to give that student athlete an opportunity for success beyond the game. So here at Iowa State, I think one of the components of our program that is strong, that we're doing a solid job of, is just the career readiness emphasis, being able to provide our student athletes with professional opportunities that enhance their major or their desired profession experience, whether that's throughout the summer with micro internships, job shadowing opportunities, being able to take things a step further and realize what other components we can add to to make our program more well-rounded. One of the concepts that really opened my eyes today with working with Ed is the fact of understanding where the disconnect can occur, right? Understanding where there are opportunities to have a letdown, where there are opportunities to have gaps where creates some gray area. And so one of the things I really want to sit down with my assistant is to really understand in what ways can we provide more support in those areas where clarity doesn't really exist, to where we can provide more of a framework to support our student athletes, especially in the regard to, getting athletes that are new to the program at the mid-year point to the point where they can have a smooth transition into our culture here at Iowa State University. A little bit about my background. So for 15 years, I was a high school educator. My early years were two at the elementary level while coaching at the high school level. And then I spent 9 years teaching as a high school teacher. Then I was fortunate to spend the last 4 as an assistant principal, and 13 years of that as a high school football coach. And so coming from that background, having a natural interest, a natural concern to develop students holistically, a lot of what I've been able to put into practice during my time at this level as an assistant as an assistant director of player development and as a director of player development is more so what I was able to learn and find important to student athlete development as a high school coach and as a high school teacher. And so a lot of this work, it does seem like a lot, but it's necessary. The game of football requires a lot of time from coaches and student athletes. And I think it's often very dismissive to just consume that time with components that are just based on the right now window of playing football and not think about, the long-term impact that an individual, that a coach, that a teacher can have in helping a student athlete become the best version of themselves. And so having somebody as a resource like Ed is great to lean on. I would encourage any high school educator, any high school decision maker to take the time to learn more about the resources that Ed has created and really bring him in as from a consultant standpoint or a resource standpoint to really help that school, help that coach, help that program make more of an impact in the overall development of their student athletes. I think in this regard, it's very often to see this component within the football program framework, but in reality, all student athletes deserve a holistic, intentional program that cares and develops who they are outside of the game.
All right, so you heard it there. You heard it there. You heard what Coach Douglas took out from the workshop, from me facilitating the workshop for them from the director level. Now I want you to learn from the assistant level. And this was important for me. And I really, really thank Alec for diving in. And once again, I thank Leon Douglas for giving Alec the opportunity to be a part of this workshop, because as I did cohorts, I was always director. I'll never forget one time somebody said, "Hey, you've always been a director. What does it look like from the assistant level?" And so I was like, man, you know what? Let me dive in. And so there were questions I asked, and I was like, hey, Alec, from an assistant level, what does this look like, right? And so for you all that are assistants and you're like, well, this is awesome for the director. How can this help me? How can the Beyond Player Development model help you? Alec, let them know how it could help them.
Hello, everybody. My name is Alec Cook, Assistant Player Development here, former player here at Iowa State. Today I went through the Beyond workshop, and something that we've been really touched on over here is working on building relationships with the guys, building networking with the guys, working on amongst them. And something that really stuck out to me within the workshop was in that learning how to navigate that. And so something that I wrote down was that Mr. Jones taught us was major life transitions is at the top, or is the top source of stress, and learning how to support them through the transitions. And we all understand in this program that this isn't a forever job. And so understanding how to make that transition into next life much easier. And in that, obviously, like I said, networking, relationship building. So I think those were all very good pieces to add. Man, when we look at your purpose, something that stuck out to me the most was in this field, you tend to lose sight of why you're doing this, you know? And so another thing that I wrote down that you said, people with a strong sense of purpose live longer and have better mental health outcomes. I think that that's so crucial to understand your why, because in this job, you don't see the fruits of your labor till much later. And so if you can come in with a sense of purpose every day and understand and say, okay, this is why I do what I do, I think that is crucial to the success in your career field. Man, as an assistant, this workshop really taught me something in my role. The overall programming, finding the problem, then getting the solution, then the result. I think that that's crucial at the assistant side of things, because a lot of times you look at your director for maybe answers or jobs or whatnot, but it's really on you to figure out the problem, and because not everybody's going to hold your hand throughout this process, right? So I think it's important to find the problem that you see. Maybe most of the time being assistant, you're obviously a younger person, so seeing it maybe from a young perspective and understanding, okay, I see a problem here, this is where I can find out the solution, and this is how I can better build the team together, because you and your director are obviously a team and working together for one common goal. Man, the reason that I would recommend this workshop is because it helps everybody understand, like I said before, understanding your purpose. And most of the time in this job, you just check a box and you float along through. Right here, the workshop gives you a tangible goal that you can sit down, okay, I know what I need to do. All right, how can we fix it? Okay, now that we've fixed that, what do we need to do? Okay, we need to work on career planning for the guys. Okay, now we got that figured out. All right, what can we do? Oh, we need to work on relationship building. All right, boom. I think that this program really helps break it down and helps you eat the elephant one bite at a time. So I would recommend it to all college coaches, all high school coaches, and all NFL coaches.
All right, what I saw when I was with the Iowa State football player development staff is what you heard in these videos about the Beyond Player Development model. It brought everything together. There's so many things that you carry in player development. This is for my professionals that are in player development. This is for my coaches who are doing it but don't even realize you're doing it. There's so much you carry. Mentorship, academics, this, that, new players, old players, transfers, community, career, right? And as you saw in those videos, the Beyond framework allows you to put that in an area where everything is clear, concise, can be communicated, and can continue to be consistent and have a consistent impact in your program. And that's what I bring to programs. You heard it. That's what I bring to programs, right? The Beyond Player Development model. I bring that to programs, and I want to bring that to your program. I want to bring this workshop and even more to your program. If you're interested in this workshop, email me at edward@btfprogram.com. I would love to connect with you. Information is in the show note as well. You all can fill out. There is a Google form down there you can fill out so I get information on you. So once we jump on our first call, we can get straight to it and we can see how this model can help your program. Now, as I always say, go out and create generational impact. Don't wait, create that generational impact today.